Hi, I am Buşra, and I'll be talking in a bit, but I just wanted to let you know that I didn't know that there's going to be just one place in the event. I thought there's going to be a few places and I'll be talking for a few people, and I was like, that should be okay. And I learned yesterday there's going to be just one place, and I also learned that I'll be streaming to the other places, and now this is me. That is me, literally. So, my talk is about how different is Umbraco 9, and I'll be telling only my experiences and some use cases that we are trying to follow at our company. So it all started, they said its name is Unicore, and they switched that to Umbraco 9 a while ago. Umbraco 9 has been released on 28th of September, if I'm not mistaken, and the first day it released, I started developing a client project with it. It's fun, huh? For the release of Umbraco 9, there were, I think, around 20 people at the Unicore team, well, community team. 150 PRs. And the first alpha release was a year ago, again in the beginning of September. And the total contribution was more than or less than 1,500 something. Yeah. Today, but Umbraco 9 for me is like still Umbraco, exactly the same what we were doing, but it's so fast. It's like mind-blowing, because whenever I try to just install Umbraco and try run it, it's just after a couple of seconds it's just running. And well, I'm not saying 8 was slow, I'm saying 9 is really fast. It is running on .NET 5 as opposed to ASP.NET Framework. So the differences I will cover today: the requirements for Umbraco 9, installation, package installation as well, project structure. As I said, it's going to be for my experience and the use cases that we are, or the cases, best practices that we are trying to follow as Bump Digital. Some partial views, differentiating partial views, view components, and differences in between Web.Config and appsettings.json, and composers and startup. Yeah, it's going to be a bit fast, hopefully. Right, requirements. The Umbraco UI should work with all of the latest modern browsers for both. For version 8, the local development should be Microsoft Windows 7 or higher above. You can code with Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio about 2017, and it's needs to run on ASP.NET 4.7.2. This is Umbraco 8. And for Umbraco 9, it's again all the browsers, modern browsers, and either operating system, which is really cool. Microsoft Windows, macOS, Linux, and if I'm not mistaken, these are the Linux ones: Ubuntu, Alpine, CentOS, Debian. I'm not quite sure how to read these all, to be honest. Yeah. And one of the following .NET tools, which is like Visual Studio Code. You can have the IIS expression extension, IIS Express extension. Visual Studio should be 2019 and higher. JetBrains in version 8, there is a little bug, if I'm not quite sure if they fixed it yet or not. So it's running on .NET Core, .NET 5. Yeah. For the hosting, version 8 needs IIS 8 and higher. Well, version 9 needs the same thing. Version 8 SQL, CE, SQL Server 2012 and plus as well as version 9 as well. ASP.NET 4.7.2 for version 8, .NET 5, and you can also run it in Docker, which you just watch, Hank. Yeah. Installation. Yeah, so version 8, if you're using VS Code, you can have the umbraco.com download and download the Umbraco zip files, which is super scary for me, like extremely scary. I can never get it running. Or if it's Visual Studio, you can download it from NuGet, or again with the zip. If it's ReSharper, again with the NuGet, and just running on Windows. For version 9, you can install it with using command line or PowerShell. You can install it via VS Code from terminal, as you see my little snippet here. .NET New, Umbraco templates. I'll be showing the process of it in a bit. Not demoing. Not demoing. Or in Visual Studio, create a new Umbraco project, which is so cool. I just love it. And can work on any operating system. Right, how to install it. So this is a command line little snippet where I would say, well, where is it? .NET New -I Umbraco templates, and you can also differentiate the templates number. It was started with alpha, and then you can go up to 9.1 or 9.0.1 right now. 9.1 right now, and it'll install Umbraco templates, which includes Umbraco package and Umbraco project in it. And then, I specifically put this here because after I install it, I always do .NET run, and I need to change the folder. I always forget it, and that's the proof. And when you change your folder, and when you do .NET run, this build it and start it running probably in like 3 seconds, I would say, maybe a little less even. So it's super, super fast. This is a snippet of Visual Studio Code, how you do it, exactly the same on the terminal, .NET New, and then you create your project and then run it. The only thing is you need to, if you didn't do it already, you need to do .NET install your Umbraco templates, .NET New Umbraco templates, to install Umbraco templates first, and then you can create your project under it. Either from VS Code or from PowerShell. And this is what I love. I just like using Visual Studio. It's so easy. If you already downloaded .NET templates, then this is how it looks like. So you just create a new project. Oh, missed the slide here. Oh, here. Create a new project, and you can just specify right in Umbraco. And you can even pick what version of .NET you want to use, and it is running on .NET 6 as well. Carol has some proofs, I know. And this is, after you build it, this is how it looks like in Visual Studio, which is super awesome, which is so fast, it's just so smooth. And I love this as well from Anthony, and I tried it too. I downloaded it from Visual Studio Code from a Windows machine, clone it from a Mac, and run it with Visual Studio on the Mac. Same project, so easy, like it's really mind-blowing. Yeah, so package installation. So what we were doing before is we could go to back office and search for a package and download that package. Or try go NuGet for solution and then download whatever the package you want from NuGet as well. Or you can search for our Umbraco.com packages, and you could get from zip folders from there as well. But with version 9, you can only do NuGet right now. Yeah. Yes, so the project structure for us. So what we do, what we are trying to do mostly, if we have, let me say, slightly bigger project, we are creating class libraries, .NET Core, .NET Web, not .NET Core, .NET Web, project.core, project.web, and we try to do same now with the version 9 as well if it's really big. But if it's small, we just can go just one .web project. And what we are doing with models, normally on version 8, we were putting all our models under .NET, under project.core class library within a custom folder, going like models, and then if it's generated models, goes under content models or published models, and then generated folder, and our custom models within the models folder there. Or if it's just a small project, it is under the web project itself. Again, models and content models, and then generated, and then generated from Umbraco. With version 9, now the models are already generated under the Umbraco folder, and what we wanted to do, what we are actually trying to do right now, and we picked this way because it sounded, I would say, better for us. Our generated models are just going to stay under Umbraco models, where it is automatically generated, which makes it a bit easier for me, let me say, because when we have custom models and we create models folder and we put the models there in that folder, it is a lot easier to differentiate Umbraco models from the custom models. Where the other way, I'm not saying it's harder, it's just a lot easier. Yes, it's just my experiences, so I can say it. It's a lot easier for me. Yeah, and yeah, this is how it looks like on version 8, models and content models or published models, and on version 9 it's just under Umbraco. Oh yeah, so assets folder is, they were used to be under web project if we needed to use like automated process to build them as well. They were there, all JavaScript, CSS and fonts and everything. And now we need to put them under www root folder, which is a lot easier to find again for me. And do you watch Jason's talk in the morning? So it's just, we need to make it so it's complied easier. Am I right? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the project structure, we are trying to go with project.web minimum code as much as we can. If it's a little bigger project, then we are going with different class libraries already. But if it's not, so this is how it looks, just controllers, folder, extensions, well, everyone is using. And V models and everything is there. And on version 9, this is how it looks like right now. Components, controllers, extensions. These are small projects. So I don't have any extra class libraries. This is just one project. Right. So when I started my first Umbraco 9 project with .NET Core, I'm really not, I don't really know .NET Core that much. So I needed to use partials, and I started typing exactly the same thing how I would do on Umbraco 8. And I ended up like I couldn't use it because that's not the case anymore. You can't do exactly the same thing. What you need to do, and which I learned this at Umbraco Hackathon a few weeks ago, where Seb and Lotte was converting CanCon website to Cloud Umbraco 9, and they used this way, partial name, and stating the partial name. And if you need to state model, the model is there. And today I even saw, I think, 4. You can add a 4 there to use some tag helpers too, which is quite cool. And what you can as well do, if your controller is asynchronous, then you can call wait HTML partial asynchronous with your partial name and your model. Well, the thing is, you can still use HTML partial in Umbraco 9, but it's just giving you that annoying green error, which is not cool. So I had to, I needed to use the partials, but then when I was searching, I came across a view of components, and I literally just ditched the partials and start developing with the view of components. So we had view of components as child actions in version 9, but we do have in version 8, we do have it version 9 as a .NET Core feature. So the use case, the best use we had with the view components when it's a class. So they need to be either driving from view component, or you can add an attribute on top of your class saying view component, or your class name should end with view component. So Umbraco MVC 9 would know what is it. And your views, what I ended up doing is it is driving from view component, and also the name ends with view component as well. And when it's the view, it is runtime searches views controller name and then component and view component name and a view name. What we end up doing is views, shared components, view component name, and a view name. There are more ways to do it. What I see from so many people's projects in GitHub, where they are using actually views, shared components, view component name, and default. And I didn't like default. We generally said it doesn't actually look nice when it's in the project, so we ended up going with the view name itself. And it also can go like pages, shared components, view component name, then view name, or default again. Views custom components name.cshtml. Views custom components name / default. So there's so many ways to do it. I think you would find what is going to be best for you as well. And that is for the Microsoft Docs. That's that little QR code. This is how it looks like in my project where I test it. So components, under the components folder, this is my classes. And I'm going to show you the snippet of how they look as well inside. And that is my views. So what I did is share under views, shared components, and then test1 and test1 CSS/HTML. It's a lot easier to read as well whenever you need to check your code. It's a lot easier to find where is your view page. And this is my class, and it is deriving from view component, and its name also has view component suffix at the end. This is how you need to call by an invoke method, and this is where you're calling your partial. Wherever you want to call your partial, you need to just write a wait component and then call your partial. And also, today I again learned from Jason's talk that you can do vc dot and then call that tag helper and then call your view component as well from there, which is quite cool too. Right, another different thing is Web.Configs and appsettings.json. To be perfectly honest, I quite like the JSON way of stuff doing it. It is, well, Web.Config had so much stuff in it, like so much stuff in it. You need to add keys, you need to tell whatever those keys for, and then so many people will say, will think bad of me when I say this, but I hate comments inside the code. So there had to be loads of comments inside Web.Config, which I really didn't like, but appsettings.json looks more readable. So the way we went is, so all the secrets are in the prod. Both of them are the same for us. All the secrets, whatever we are using in the project, they're all in the prod.config or appsettings production.json, and we differentiated the databases that we are using. So if it's a production, so it's a production database. If it's development, then it's a development database. Under them, both same. Right, we used to set our models builder in the Web.Config. You need to tell, not quite sure if I do, yeah, this is how it looks like. So what we were going, this is a models builder bit of the Web.Config, and an old project, what we were doing is enabling them first, and then models mode. These are all in the Web.Config, not differentiated under production or development. It's just under the Web.Config. So our models mode, and we do like to give namespaces to all of our models as well, and the directory that whatever they need to leave under, and that except unsafe models directory, which is true. I have no idea why we added that, sorry. And our appsettings.json now looks like this. So models builder in appsettings.json, we say the namespace, so wherever it is, even if it's under development or production or release or staging, whatever it is, we do know the namespace in appsettings.json, and we set the models mode to nothing, and then we change it in the appsettings.development, and you can actually let me say mix and match in different JSON files, which is quite cool as well. And there's so many different things that you can do with an IntelliSense, which is also quite cool, with appsettings.json as well with Umbraco 9. Yeah, if we needed to tell which, so I said that we are using the Umbraco models as automatically created, generated models, but we could also tell appsettings.json where we want that custom directory to go as well. So I think, oh yeah, composers and startups. So in version 8, our user composers any kind of dependency injection, which what we were doing is your composer, and then it's coming from inherited from my user composer, and you can do anything from it. With version 9, so what we are suggesting is if you're developing a package or a plugin for your project, like a custom property editor, then use iComposer to register them. But if it's just any kind of different kind of dependency injection, you can actually add them in Startup.cs. So I'm going to show you an example of this. Is coming from docs sample repository. What we're doing here is we're creating notification extensions with Umbraco Builder, and we just add anything, whatever we need in here, and create a builder here, and then we just add the builder. I can't see it. Yeah, add doc sample notifications in Startup.cs, and that's it. I'm going to say again, it's a lot easier. Which is, again, quite cool. So the advice is just use iComposer if you're creating a package, if you're doing something custom for your project. But in any other cases, just do it with Startup.cs. You can also use a composer, like the old ways that we were doing with Umbraco 8. It's going to work exactly the same, but this, if you do it with Startup.cs, it is running more smoothly, and it's just probably one of the best practices. That's not me saying it, that's me seeing it. Yeah, that's finished. So these were just my experiences and the practices that we are trying to follow at work as well. For me, there are tons to learn still. It is really fun to create this technology that I had to create for a client. And it's going to be really fun to maintain and contribute with Umbraco 9 as well, going forward. Of course, we'll continue to do so, and hopefully there's going to be a package coming shortly. Yeah, another plan is to just test out the code with Umbraco docs to see how it is working with Umbraco 9 too, which is going to be exciting. No, I'm not good.